Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball video recap for Friday, March the 28th. There were 24 games involving state teams on Friday. Let's take a look at the action. In the big game of the night, Clemson and Georgia Tech opened an ACC series meeting of ranked teams down in Atlanta, and the Tigers won 9-7. Clemson broke a 6-6 tie with 2 runs in the 8th, and they got a run in the 9th to add that and held off Tech to win that game 9-7, as I mentioned. Jacob Jarrell hit 2 homers for the Tigers, and the Clemson outfielders made a couple of nice plays to rob Georgia Tech players of extra base hits in the late going. Cam Canarella had a couple of hits for the Tigers. Clemson improved to 25-4 overall, 5-2 in the ACC. Tech fell to 21-5 and 7-3. Down in San Marcos, Texas, Jacob Morrison struck out 10 in 7 innings, and Walker Mitchell hit a grand slam in the 9th to cap Coastal Carolina's 7-0 shutout win of Texas State in the Sun Belt Conference. The Chanticleers are now 19-7 overall, 5-2 in the Sun Belt. Texas State fell to 11-14 and 3-4. Morrison, as I mentioned, tied his career high in strikeouts with 10. His 7-inning outing was second only to a 7 2/3 inning outing, also no hit runs allowed, earlier this year. Down in Columbia, number 1 Tennessee feasted on one Gamecock error for 5 unearned runs in the second inning and held off the Gamecocks 11-7 to win the first game of that SEC series. The Vols are 24-2 overall, 6-1 in the SEC. South Carolina, which has lost 5 straight, is 17-10 and 1-6. Ethan Petrie had 4 hits, including his 51st career homer. Jordan Carrion had 4 hits for the Gamecocks. And maybe the best performance was by relief pitcher Caleb Jones. He came in mop-up duty, had 3 shutout innings, then allowed a run in the 9th, but he wound up with 4 innings pitched for 1 run. He'll likely get some more outings out of the bullpen if he keeps pitching like this. Of course, he's a transfer from Winthrop. Elsewhere, Branton Little pitched a complete game, 7 innings, and Wofford opened his Southern Conference schedule with a 14-3 win over the Citadel in the opener of that series down in Charleston. The Terriers are now 19-8 overall, 1-0 in the SoCon. The Citadel fell to 14-13 and 2-2. Also in Charleston, Caden Smith had a 10th inning single to give Charleston Southern a 7-6 walk-off win over Winthrop to open that big South Conference series. It also snapped a 7-game losing streak for the Buccaneers. Charleston Southern improved to 13-10 overall, 1-6 in the Big South. Winthrop fell to 14-13 and 2-2. Terrell Williams allowed 1 earned run over 7 innings, and Presbyterian beat UNC Asheville 8-3 to open that Big South Conference series up at Greenwood Field in Asheville. The Blue Hose are now 13-14 overall, 5-2 in the Big South. The Bulldogs fell to 9-17 and 2-5. East Tennessee State scored 3 runs in the top of the first, but USC Upstate answered with 10 runs in the bottom of the inning and wound up winning by a score of 19-13 in a opener of a non-conference series over in Spartanburg, 19-14, apologize. Johnny Sweeney, who entered the game going 16 for 17 his last few at-bats, added a 3-run double in the first inning to extend his streak to 17 for 18. He wound up adding a home run later in the game, and he had a total of 4 RBIs for the Spartans, who are now 14-11, and they have won 6 straight games. Excuse me for the uncertainty on that. Elsewhere, Campbell scored the final 8 runs of the game and beat College of Charleston by a score of 12-7 to open that Coastal Athletic Association series. The Campbells improved to 12-13 overall, 3-1 in the CAA. Charleston fell to 14-10 and 2-2. In Division II, Conference Carolinas, Francis Marion scored 7 runs in the 9th inning and beat Shorter 13-9. The Patriots are now 24-9 overall, 13-6 in the conference. Shorter fell to 20-12 and 11-5. Gideon Antle was 5 for 5 with a double, a homer, and 4 runs driven in as North Greenville beat Erskine 11-2 to open that Conference Carolina series. The Trailblazers are now 27-8 overall, 12-7 in the conference. Erskine fell to 16-16 and 5-11. Barton pulled away late to beat Southern Wesleyan 12-4 in that Conference Carolina series. The Bulldogs are now 21-11 overall, 13-6 in the conference. Southern Wesleyan fell to 7-26 and 6-13. In the Peach Belt Conference, Caden Cruz doubled twice and homered as Lander took the opener of the series with USC Aiken by a score of 17-8. The Bearcats are 22-10 overall, 10-3 in the conference. Aiken fell to 15-17 and 6-7. Georgia College got a 15-5 win in 8 innings over Claflin down in Orangeburg. The Bobcats are now 18-15 overall, 11-2 in the conference. Claflin fell to 5, 24-1 and 0-13. In the other game in Peach Belt Conference involving a state school on Friday, Columbus State scored the game's final 10 runs and beat USC Beaufort by a score of 13-8. The Cougars are now 14-15 overall, 5-8 in the Peach Belt. Beaufort fell to 4-25 and 1-12. In the South Atlantic Conference, Coker got a run to the top of the 10th inning, but Newberry responded with 2 in the bottom of the inning and won the opener of their conference series 5-4. The Wolves are now 16-13 overall, 6-13 in the 16-16 overall, 6-13 in the SAC. Coker fell to 20-12 and 9-7. Anderson scored 8 runs in the 8th inning and went on to beat Wingate by a score of 11-3 over at Memorial Stadium in Anderson. The Trojans are now 18-13 overall, 7-9 in the SAC. Wingate fell to 15-16 and 10-9. Up in Mars Hill, Adams Fawcett and Ben Partridge drove in 3 runs apiece as Limestone beat Mars Hill in 7 innings by a score of 14-3. The Saints are now 15-18 overall, 9-10 in the conference. Mars Hill fell to 10-23 and 4-12. In other games involving Division 4-year schools, Justin Dawkins and Chance Green homered as Spartanburg Methodist beat Carolina University 9-5 to open a Continental Athletic Conference series. The Pioneers are 13-21 overall, including 4-1 in the conference. Carolina fell to 7-17 and 1-3. St. Andrews shut out Columbia International 4-0 in an Appalachian Athletic Conference series opener. St. Andrews is 16-10 overall, 8-7 in the conference. Columbia International fell to 17-14 and 6-10. In the HBCU Athletic Conference, Dillard swept Voorhees 7-2 and 5-2. Dillard is now 17-14 overall, 11-6 in the conference. Voorhees fell below 500 to 13-14 and 10-10. In NJCAA Region 10, Hudson Moss homered in the 7th inning, his 5th hit of the game, to give USC Sumter a 14-5 walk-off win over USC Union to open that series. The Fire Ants of Coach Tim Medlin have won 7 straight games. They're 17-16 overall, 7-9 in the conference. Union fell to 22-10 and 8-8. USC Lancaster rallied in both the 8th and 9th innings and beat USC Salkehatchie 15-14. The Lancers are 15-18 overall, 8-8 in the conference. Salkehatchie fell to 1-31 and 1-15 and has lost 20 straight games. Finn McLaughlin had a single, his 4th hit of the day, to give the Lancers that walk-off win. In the other game, a meeting of the top 2 teams in the conference, Gaston College scored 3 runs in the 6th inning and held on to beat Florence Darlington Tech by a score of 6-3. That snapped Tech's 13-game winning streak and cut their lead over Gaston College to 2 games in the Region 10 standings. Tech fell to 27-8 overall, 13-13 in the conference. Gaston College fell to 27-8 and 27-8-1 and 11-5. In the ACC, Duke beat North Carolina State 5-1. Louisville beat California 11-2. North Carolina beat Miami 2-0. Notre Dame beat Florida State 16-9. You never know. Pitt beat Boston College 9-5 in Game 1 of a doubleheader, and the Eagles of Coach Todd Interdonato came out to win Game 2 6-5 in 13 innings. Virginia beat Stanford 13-7, and Virginia Tech beat Wake Forest 13-2. In the ACC, Alabama beat Oklahoma 8-6. Arkansas beat Vanderbilt 9-0. Georgia beat Auburn 4-1. Ole Miss beat Florida 10-9 in Game 1 of a doubleheader, and they are about to blow the Game 2. Florida scored 5 runs at the top of the 9th, and they're leading as I record this. I will update the conference standings after all the games are over. Texas beat Missouri 15-4 in 7 innings. Texas A&M got its first SEC win with a 9-7 win over Kentucky, and Mississippi State and LSU were also delayed by rain before they got to going. Now, looking at the schedule for Saturday, We'll start in just in order of the time the games start in alphabetical order. Columbia International plays St. Andrews in Laurinburg in a doubleheader at noon. Erskine is at North Greenville for a doubleheader at noon. Francis Marion is at Shorter at noon for a doubleheader. Spartanburg Methodist is at Carolina University up in Mocksville, North Carolina for a doubleheader at noon. Voorhees and Dillard complete their series down in Louisiana at noon, one game. Barton is at Southern Wesleyan for a 1 p.m. doubleheader. Coker and Newberry wrap up their South Atlantic Conference doubleheader with a series with a doubleheader at 1 o'clock down in Newberry. Florence Darlington Tech and Gaston College have a doubleheader at 1 o'clock at Sims Legion Park up in Gastonia. The Stingers need at least one win to be assured of having the sole possession of the lead after the weekend is over. Georgia College is at Claflin for a doubleheader at 1 o'clock. Limestone is at Mars Hill for a 1 o'clock doubleheader. Morehouse begins its series at Benedict with a 1 o'clock game. USC Salkehatchie and USC Lancaster play a doubleheader at 1 o'clock at Doomsday Corner up in Lancaster. USC Union is at USC Sumter for a doubleheader at 1 o'clock at Riley Park in Sumter. Wingate and Anderson play a doubleheader at 1 o'clock at Anderson Memorial Stadium. Campbell tries to clinch a series win over College of Charleston with a 2 o'clock game down at Patriots Point. Columbus State is at USC Beaufort for a 2 o'clock game. East Tennessee State is at USC Upstate for the second game in that series, also at 2 o'clock. Presbyterian is at UNC Asheville at 2 o'clock. Winthrop is at Charleston Southern at 2 o'clock. Lander and USC Aiken have moved up their Sunday game to part of a Saturday doubleheader at 3 to complete that series. Concerns over rain. Wofford is at the Citadel at 3 o'clock down at the Joe. Coastal Carolina tries to clinch a series win at Texas State with a 3:30 game down in Texas. Clemson goes for a series win at Georgia Tech at 4 o'clock. And South Carolina tries to even its series at Tennessee with a 4 o'clock game down in Columbia. For whatever reason, Clemson's been having trouble getting this box posted for Friday night. I will add it when I get it, and I will update the ACC and SEC standings whenever all the games are complete for Friday night. Thanks for following this Friday night video update. You can see my stuff at PalmettoStateBaseball.com. You can follow me on Twitter or at X at the handle at PalmettoBase. Thanks for viewing this. This is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com saying good night. Jesus loves you.